sorry.
It's fine. Take your time. It's important to get it right.
It's okay. I was just thinking about that day and what should have been.
Of course. I understand. Can you tell the court what happened when you and Miss Goskirk returned home after your wedding?
I carried her over the threshold, and we were both laughing. And then, well, one thing led to another, and we had sex. Consensual sex.
I should warn you, there's no soap.
Don't be wasted on me, right?
You know, Harriet's not just an old colleague, she's a friend. We're doing everything in our power.
Yeah. I'm just looking out for a friend, too.
Friend? I'd hate to see her dragged down by someone like you.
Careful. You hurt my feelings. Listen, we both want those losers brought to justice, don't we?
But it's got to be by the book.
Of course. Oh. Sorry.
When we got home, I told Rona that I'd made an offer on a veterinary practice in the lakes. That was my wedding gift. We've been talking about it for a long time. It was a dream of ours to move there. Well, at least I thought it was.
Could you tell us what happened afterwards?
After I went to the reception.
Alone?
Rona was still sleeping, so I didn't want to wake her.
So at that point, everything was okay with Miss Goskirk?
It was our wedding day. We just made love, like usual. Maybe it was what some people might call a little on the rough side, but it certainly wasn't anything out of the ordinary for us.
You didn't stay at the party long?
Long enough to show my face before returning home to see if Rona was going to join us.
And when you returned?
She was already waiting for me. She couldn't go through with it. The lakes. She didn't want to go.
Did she say why?
She didn't have to. We both knew why.
Please.
Her ex. Paddy. Rona told me that it was just a kiss, a one-off. Well, we dealt with it before the wedding. I'd forgiven her. Only when I got back from the pub, she told me she was still in love with him.
How did you respond to that news?
I told her that if she wanted to leave me, then I couldn't stop her. I reminded her that we'd only been married a matter of hours, and I'd made sure she wouldn't get a penny. I knew I shouldn't have said it, but I was lashing out, and I was angry.
And Miss Goskirk, how did she react to this?
Put it this way, she left there and then. It's not the world's shortest marriage, but can't have been far off. And that was that, more or less. I mean, I went to see her a couple of times. I tried to fight for my marriage. But, well, you know what happened next. I was arrested on an allegation of rape.
Could you perhaps describe for us how it felt to be accused of such a serious crime?
Well, I was shocked, of course. I couldn't believe it. Didn't seem real at first. Like a bad dream, and then, well, once it had sunk in, a nightmare.
Right, I should be making tracks myself.
You okay?
My notebook.
Tell me about your relationship with Miss Goskirk. How would you describe your time together? Harmonious? Turbulent?
We were in love.
Did the two of you argue?
Had a passionate relationship. We argued, I don't deny it, no more than most. And then we we made up. Like most couples.
I wonder if most couples can relate to this. Or indeed this. As the jury will recall, these were taken only hours after you were married, only hours after you raped her. This, the woman you love, the woman for whom you forsake all others?
That's right. I just wish she could have felt the same for me.
So you taught her a lesson, is that it?
I didn't. Sex between us was consensual. Always.
And of course, this is where you tell me that Miss Goscock liked it rough.
now you're just putting words into my mouth.
Really? You said yourself some might call your love life a little on the rough side, but please feel free to explain in your own words, Mr. Harris, why on what should have been the happiest day of her life, the woman you loved looked like this.
Loved? I still do love her. I always will. Rona was everything to me, and I could never hurt her.
So this is a woman you say you love, a woman you say you could never hurt. But, Mr. Harris, does this look like a loving relationship to you? Yes or no?
Look, it's not... That's not how it was.
Oh, hi, Jerry. How you feeling? Thought I'd finally worked it all through, but it still keeps coming.
Brown sauce. Don't say I don't give you anything.
Never. You're like a brother to me.
All right.
No, I mean it. Like, we can fight and fall out, but we're solid. I love you, man.
Get off.
Come on, group hug. Don't be shy.
I take it this means you're staying then?
I know that's your way of telling me not to go. Reading between the lines and that.
Well, read between these lines. Don't get too comfortable. Things are going to change around here.
What do you mean?
Well, when I decide to move back in, your granddad and Ronnie head to Cornwall.
See, I told you I could smell bacon.
There's no rush, Chrissy.
Well, you're leaving soon.
Yeah, but we've still got a lot to sort out. Who knows when exactly we'll be going?
What are you talking about? It's all arranged. Don't tell me you're getting cold feet.
No, of course not.
Because that's what it sounds like to me.
Right, come on, it's getting crowded. Oh, I should get this. Hello, Simon.
What's going on? First you invite Chrissy to come with us, and then suddenly we're in no rush to go. This is something you're not telling me, isn't there?
Of course not. All I'm saying is that we're in no hurry. We don't have any deadline to meet. Don't worry. Everything's going to work out exactly as we planned.
All the days to admit you're still in love with your ex, it must have taken great courage for Miss Goscock, wouldn't you say?
Well, it would have saved a fair bit of heartache if she told me sooner.
You seem to have a history of troubled relationships with women, Mr. Harris. Would that be fair to say?
I don't think so.
Starting with your mother? Is it not correct that you told Miss Goscock that you were estranged from your mother, that your mother wanted nothing to do with you?
I don't see how that's...
But the truth was that you froze your mother out of your life because you didn't approve of her loose morals.
It's a bit more complicated than that.
No doubt. Do you have a problem with women, Mr. Harris? What is it, perhaps a need for control, a need to quell your feelings of inadequacy?
Your Honour.
Do all women make you angry, Mr. Harris? Or just those who have the misfortune to remind you of your mother?
Your Honour, I question the relevance.
In your interview, you stated that you threatened to tell Miss Goscock's ex that she was back on painkillers. What exactly did you mean by that?
Well, Rona had a history of drug addiction. I had reason to believe that she was using again.
But as we've seen, tests showed no traces of opiates in her system. How do you explain that?
I can't. But then, I'm not a medical professional.
In your interview, you also claimed after this threat that Miss Goscock flew at me like a lunatic. Could you describe this event? Oh, I appreciate your confusion. I must admit, I'm rather confused myself, given that you've chosen to not once reference this alleged incident whilst on the stand. Is it because it never happened?
Well, I'm here to defend myself, not to make accusations.
Whatever happened, what we do know is that after Miss Goskirk told you she was still in love with her ex, she used a taxi. Do you know where the taxi driver took her?
Yes, to the police station.
Did you also know that this taxi firm she used makes a log of all journeys? You see, the interesting thing is, Miss Goskirk's taxi picked her up at approximately 4:10 that afternoon. And yet, according to witness testimony, you were still at the wedding reception at around 4. Does that sound right, Mr. Harris?
I don't know.
According to your version of events, that would give you a time frame of around 10 minutes to return home and then have the kind of conversation you claim occurred between you and Miss Goskirk. Does that really sound plausible to you?
Well, I didn't keep a time log.
Well, if you did, you'd realize that the sequence of events as you've presented them don't really stack up, do they?
I told you the truth. I can't account for other people's versions of events.
It's a fact that Miss Goskirk's taxi was logged at just before 4 o'clock when several accounts, including your own, placed you at the reception. It's a fact that the taxi driver found Miss Goskirk bruised and shaking 10 minutes later. How do you account for that?
She must have called the taxi before I got back. Maybe she was planning on leaving before she told me the truth.
But she didn't, did she? At least not according to your version of events.
No.
Mr. Harris, there simply wasn't enough time for your version of events to have realistically occurred. Wouldn't you agree? You forced yourself on Miss Goskirk before you left for the reception. By the time you returned, she'd gone. Isn't that the truth, Mr. Harris? I put it to you that you're lying to the court.
I'm not the one who's lying here.
No more questions. I'd like to ask you a little more about the defendant's stag night, if I may. Would you describe it as being a wild affair?
He definitely had Pierce on the ropes back then.
Maybe. But we're far from home and dry.
Nobody can see him for what he is.
I wouldn't be so sure. His own mother didn't.
Maybe me and Tess. And what happened between us, maybe that's what pushed him over the edge.
Whatever's made him like this, it's been in him a long time.
Just a few drinks and a bit of telly. Then we nipped to the local.
The Woolpack pub, where Miss Goskirk's hen night was being held at the same time. A rather unusual turn of events, wouldn't you say?
I suppose.
No more questions?
Any re-examination?
Yes, Your Honour. Can you remember whose idea it was to go to the Woolpack pub the night of Mr. Harris's stag do?
It was mine.
Thank you, Mr. King. That's all.
Come on, Ray, you don't know Kane took your notebook.
Right. Just a coincidence, I'm sure. Look, I'm sorry, Harriet, I'm gonna have to call this in.
Don't be hasty, son. I mean, how's it gonna look for you? Losing your notebook and that.
I didn't lose it. Someone stole it from me. A stupid move, all things considered.
Yeah, agreed. But you know, Zach's got a point. You know what they're like about things like this? How's it gonna look? You lose your notebook, in a pub, in the middle of the day. Do me this one favour, Ray. I'll find him and I'll get your notebook back. Please.
Okay, I can give you an hour, and that's pushing it for a mate. I just hope you find him before he does anything that's going to land us all in serious hot water.
It must have seemed like I was on his side.
You were just telling the truth, Jimmy. Ronnie won't blame you for that.
I need to,
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, shortly you'll be asked to sit in judgment on 2 lives, as you must decide whether or not you find the accused guilty of rape. Given the seriousness of the alleged crime, therefore, it is absolutely vital you understand that you're not being asked to judge a woman for her mistakes or weaknesses. You're not being asked whether or not you like or dislike the defendant. You're being asked if you believe, on the date in question, whether or not Miss Goskirk gave her consent to sex with the defendant.
Cheers for that, mate. I appreciate it.
thought you'd be long gone.
Oh, I've got the names. Still need the addresses. Look, don't worry. I'm going in prepared. Trust me.
Trust you? How can I?
Because I'm the only one looking out for you. Do you think the police are looking out for you just because you used to work for them? You don't wear the uniform anymore, so as far as they're concerned, you're just the same as the rest of us now. Someone has got to do something. Someone's got to make those idiots pay for what they did to you.
After everything with Ross.
You can thank me later.
I mean it, Kane. Ray knows it was you who stole his notebook. If you go and do something stupid, it's not going to take a genius to make the connection. I've already begged him not to call it in. I can't hold him off forever.
Make no mistake. Despite what the defense claims, Piers Harris waited till their wedding day to finally confront his wife about the kiss she had shared with her ex. When he did, he was angry. So angry, he forced himself on her. He raped her, for which there can never be justification. For which, ladies and gentlemen, you must ensure he is brought to justice.
Mum, we were just.
There's no explanation necessary. You seen your granddad?
Yeah, he's gone out somewhere with Ronnie.
Right. Well, I've got a meeting in town, so
Bye then.
I'll see you later. Bye, Belle.
And then they were alone.
Do you want to go upstairs?
Only if you're ready.
You cop a friend.
Surprised you gave me this long. Ray. Yeah, don't do anything. I'm coming in now. Yeah, I've got your notebook. Yeah, I found it in the car park after all that. I know. Can you believe it? Yep, bye. He's not a fool, Kane. What am I supposed to tell him?
Your call.
This is your mess. I didn't ask you to play vigilante.
That's a good job I didn't, then, eh? Terrible handwriting, your mate. Took my head in the tail of those surnames.
Except you still took a notebook from a police officer.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be a nag.
Can't we just drop it?
Yeah. You know, I think that's a good idea. I mean, if this is where we are after a few weeks.
Yeah, right, yeah. Fun while it lasted, eh? Dad, don't.
A wedding day like no other. Ladies and gentlemen, any accusation of rape must be treated with the utmost seriousness. And I have no hesitation in believing that that has been the case here. You've heard from a man who not only lost his wife, but lost the future that he'd worked so hard to build for them both. And then, of course, you heard from a woman who lacked the courage and moral clarity to admit she was still in love with her ex-partner, Paddy Kirk, only finally confessing after she and the defendant were married. Could there be a worse time to confess to such a thing than on one's wedding day? Now, if Miss Goskirk's lies are not enough, let us not forget her friend, colleague, and former lesbian lover, Miss Vanessa Woodfield, who herself admitted to lying on the stand about the defendant. Now, we all know there's no such thing as a normal couple. We all have our quirks, shared or otherwise. But the couple in question were fortunate in that they shared a preference for an uninhibited, physically robust intimacy. An intimacy that could easily result in bruises. Bruises that Miss Goskirk herself admitted had occurred during consensual sex on previous occasions. Now, the day in question should have been a happy new beginning for Mr. Harris, one he so richly deserved. But instead, his trust was betrayed by the woman he had just vowed to love, honor, and protect. The lies must stop now, before a good man who has already lost so much loses his liberty too.
Don't think I didn't see you two sneaking off upstairs.
We weren't sneaking.
Shut up, Jerry.
Look, you go back upstairs, I'll get the drinks.
So come on then, how was it, you big stud? Oh, come on, I'm only messing about. Caviar? Seriously, I'm going to try some of this.
Why don't you just shut up and get out my face?
Hang on, what's all this about? I thought we were cool. We upped and everything.
Everything's a joke to you. I am not your mate. That was just for Belle's benefit. You best find your next meal ticket because you've reached the end of the line here. Do you understand? You're not welcome in this house and I want you gone.
As judge of the law, I have had two tasks: to direct you as to the law that you will apply, and to summarize the evidence I have heard. Now, I can only provide you with a summary, and if there is anything that you feel is important that I have missed out, or something mentioned that you feel is not significant, that is a matter for you.
Well, I wouldn't give for a few words with that defence barrister. Unbelievable.
It's her job, Marlon. Turns out she's pretty damn good at it.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's over now. That's all I care about. They're going to do the right thing. They have to. What if they don't?
All that remains is for you to go away and consider your verdict. Guilty or not guilty.
What if they don't?
To the Cognac region of France next, James Martin sampling award-winning brioche in his French adventure. Then at 9, personal accounts for the very first time from the real-life heroes who risk their lives to save ours, inside London Fire Brigade.